let me make a movie using my cell phone to capture how I feel like media and technology is kind of getting in the way of our present embodiment. My name's Christina Robson. I'm an American dancer, choreographer, and educator, and I'm passionate about bringing people together through movement. When diverse groups of people work together toward any kind of shared physical goal, I feel that there's this fleeting image, just for a moment, of a connected and equitable world. So when I came out here to London, I had a goal to get as many strangers as I could dancing. But everyone's on their phone. The average person spends 3 hours and 15 minutes on their cell phone daily. And though the eye is the portal through which digital information enters, as a dancer, I can't help but observe how the connection to devices has drained a sense of present consciousness, and it's making us less receptive to our bodies and how we connect to the environment around us. So after only a few successful attempts to approach strangers and turn their attention away from their screen, I became less motivated to get people moving, and I was more captivated by observing what our screens are doing to us. So I went out on a Thursday night looking for an activity that did not involve my phone, and I found a practice called freedomDANCE.
It's beautiful, actually. Someone walks in and they look around and like their phone goes somewhere in their purse. Most people it just happens organically. I'm Alex Svoboda, and freedomDANCE is actually my baby. We call ourselves the School of Dance Meditation and Conscious Movement. And I think what you've experienced, 2 hours, is what we would choose to call it dance meditation. We think it's enough to talk about the body. We can't do anything. We are embodied beings. Space, we need to move, and each other. So why body? The whole body. If we have this body, let's use the whole of it. That's already revolutionary, and that's where we start.
So if you had to guess, how many hours per day do you think you spend on your phone?
2.5 hours.
2.5. That's like average.
Yeah.
2 hours?
Yeah.
2 hours a day.
Maybe 3 or 4 hours. It's 2.5 hours.
2.5.
I'm not an addict, but I'm on my way.
Probably 15 hours.
15.
Yeah, or more, because I check my phone like literally every 10-15 minutes.
I would say I use my phone almost constantly. So to give it a nice estimate, I would say probably 12 hours a day.
2 hours per day.
4 to 6, yeah. I mean, it depends what I'm doing. Like if I'm at work, it will be less hours. But then if I'm at home, actually it's probably in my hand all the time, like 10 hours.
I know, it becomes attached to your body, right?
It is,
Yeah.
and like you're still having conversations. Like it's just with people who aren't there.
Such an irony that you're making this film about the technology and how it takes us away from the body, and you approached me to come to my class, and I said, no filming, no phones. And all the evidence, scientific evidence, suggests that the healthier choice is to switch off the device and be with the experience fully. So really, I think there are great benefits to the technology, and it puts more responsibility on our shoulders to be our own. To have it's ironic. I teach freedomDANCE, but I keep talking about discipline. I think the discipline of creating that freedom for ourselves is fundamental.
The rough words, the fastest way to still your mind is to move your body. I do find in these classes my mind can be very busy thinking sometimes, but by the end of the class my mind feels stiller, so that is definitely a reason for me to do this.
My name's Justin Romain Hoffman. I study freedomDANCE with Alex Svoboda, which is Russian for freedom. People are so busy looking at their phones, they miss the possibility of communicating with somebody they might meet on the bus or the tube.
A real live person.
You know, whether it's
Can you
a friendship
imagine?
or a date or whatever. But I think, you know, real life contacts are much better than someone you meet through a dating app or just being in touch with a friend or whatever on your phone. Sometimes long for an age without smartphones. Actually, is that the same for you?
I mean, there are certainly benefits to living in a connected technological world, but we're simultaneously sinking into a new state of consciousness that I would say is the antithesis of embodiment. I had the chance to catch up with Joanna McCartney. She is a freedomDANCE participant and also a civil servant. And she spoke to me a little bit about how she observed people using space differently when they're gathered together for a shared cause without the use of their screens.
The atmosphere on Parliament Square has been increasingly tense and full of an atmosphere of conflict and hatred. When the climate change activists took us over the space of Parliament Square, there were people doing very ordinary things, sleeping in tents on the streets, wandering around, chatting to each other, making food in large pots. But what I felt was that after that, even though it only lasted a few days, there was a shift. And the atmosphere in Parliament Square has not been so tense since. But it wasn't the big demo factor, it was the ordinariness of what was happening in the space that was so different. That was what struck me.
Freedom comes with discipline, somehow. You know, we have to create this rule not to use our phones in order to have a really juicy, deep dance that we love. Taking in and feeling it, I think that's what we are separating from, because people say that, you know, you'll forget what it looks like, you'll forget what they say to you, but you'll remember how they made you feel. You're right, we can learn from these 2 hours. If I could do 2 hours focusing on dance, I can do 30 minutes focusing on my cooking, or 30 minutes on a conversation I'm having, or 20 minutes on my coffee and people watching. That's
just one idea at a time. Just one idea